Today I brought a bunch of new ultralight gear with me out into the Colorado Rockies. And honestly, some of this stuff might not make it back into my pack. I've got gear that might save weight. I've got gear that might make life easier. And I've already got one piece of gear that I think might have been a big mistake. And by the end, I'll tell you exactly what's worth carrying and what you should probably just leave at home. All right, so we're heading out into the Colorado Rockies today. It's a beautiful day, and it's a beautiful day for testing gear. We're not changing anything big and major. We're just testing out a few items that I think potentially could make life a little better when out on the trail. All right, so this first thing I want to talk to you guys about is something that caught my attention right away. I really have a love-hate relationship for water bottles out on the trail. Most of us use a smart water bottle or something like a Nalgene, and both of those have flaws when you have them out on the trail. So this is the MGO or MGO water bottle by Massimo. One of my favorite YouTubers, Miranda Outdoors, partnered with them to help design this water bottle. And at first glance, I thought this thing was going to be my ultimate go-to water bottle. The thing that I immediately liked about this bottle was the lid setup. So you've got this small lid here where you can take off the cap and then easily get to it and use the bottle. It even is the right size to fit a lot of your water filters like the Solar Squeeze and other things too as well. And then it also has this larger lid that comes off to now give you a wide mouth bottle. And so this is just game changer for being able to keep a reusable bottle clean and being able to get in and actually do cleaning on it. And then too, I really like when I'm out on trail, I can even take my drink mixes and pour into this, and it just makes it so much easier than trying to pour them through, say, a small lid like that. And then too, I've even noticed that, if I really needed to, I can even use this a lot better to scoop up water or even snow if I'm out during the winter. And when I first picked this thing up, I knew right off, man, this thing is solid. Like, it's not flimsy at all. It's just a really sturdy water bottle. I even thought, this thing feels as sturdy as my Nalgene. And my first thought was, oh man, maybe this can even replace my Nalgene, which I was super excited about. But then I started digging into it a little bit more. And that's where I started finding a few things that made me question it a little bit more. Because this thing comes in just under 5 ounces in weight, which is a lot more heavier than a smart water bottle. It's even heavier than a few of the other competitor brands with their multi-use bottles that are out now. And the big thing is, as I mentioned, I was really hoping that this was going to be sturdy enough to be able to replace my Nalgene. Because one of the things that I like to do when I take my Nalgene out on winter trips is be able to put hot water in it, or boiling water in it, and then maybe even be able to slide that in my sleeping bag to help give me some added warmth at night on those cold nights. But then I got on their website and found out that they tell you not to do that exact thing. They say, even though the bottle can probably handle it, that it's not meant to handle those temperatures and that it could mess with the plastic of the bottle. They even said that the lid system is not engineered to be able to handle pressure. So like if you put it in your sleeping bag and you end up rolling, say, over it and put some pressure on it, one of these lids could potentially come off, they say, which of course is not what we would want to have done in the middle of winter in our down sleeping bag. So that really started to make me question what I was originally thinking about the bottle. So to me, this one ends up in kind of a weird spot. It's definitely way more durable, and I like it way more than a smart water bottle. But it's a bit heavier than some of its competitors, and it's not quite as durable as, say, an Nalgene. So do I think this is a bad bottle? Absolutely not. I really do like this bottle. and I'll probably continue to use it some. I just don't know why I would choose it over something that's a little bit lighter or something that's a little bit more durable. So if you've used one of these, let me know what I'm missing, because I really wanted to like this and wanted it to become my go-to water bottle out on trail. All right, so while we're talking about water, let's talk about my next item that I brought out. So I recently just picked up the CNOC 2-liter bag. Now, before you start telling me, hey Ricky, how does that fall into ultralight? For me, so a lot of times whenever I go out backpacking, normally what I would carry for my water system is I would have a two liter bottles that I would have out normally, so that depending on how long it was going to be between my water sources, like you can see right now, one's full, one's not, because I've got water around. So I would always have a backup to be able to carry that. But then I always like to carry an extra bag to know that I could at least carry another 2 liters or so to camp. And so for those of you that have been watching my channel, you know that I like the Cat 9B free water filter. And so for the longest time, what I was doing is I was carrying the 1 liter bag that came with the filter when I bought it. And so that's what I would filter my water out of. And then I always just had a second 2 liter rolled up and tossed in the bag for worst case scenario if I had to dry camp or anything like that. And so it's a really lightweight bag to have, and so it didn't bother me if I never used it. But I always knew that no matter what scenario I was going to be in out in the backcountry, that I would have the ability to be able to carry at least 4 or 5 liters of water if I needed to. And so recently I've been seeing a lot of people use these bags. And so I really had gotten tired of having to try to fill up my little bitty 1 liter bag in the streams. And so I recently decided to get this CNOC bag. And so I bought the one with the bigger mouth so that it fits my Cat 9B free filter. They make one with a smaller mouth, so if you use the Sawyer Squeeze or something like that, you can get one of those too as well. But the nice thing about these is on the back end here, it's got a larger opening. And so to me, the reason why I kind of loop this into my ultralight selections here is because I've now replaced 2 bags with 1 bag. So I've minimized what I have to carry, and I really like how much easier it is to fill this bag up compared to what I was using before in the past. So this is something that I'm definitely going to continue to try out for a while longer and see how I like it for the long haul. All right, so we're getting close to camp. We should be coming up on the space where I wanted to camp out. It's supposed to be a little chilly tonight. Temperature's gonna drop down a little bit, and we're looking at some potential for some wind. So I chose to camp down in the trees instead of going up on top of the ridge line. And so once we get to camp, I'll show you some of my other items. All right, so we've made it to camp. And I figure before we set up camp, now that I'm pulling everything out of my bag, I'll tell you about the next couple items actually on this. And so if you guys have watched my channel, you know I am prone to using things like Ziploc bags or cheap Amazon storage bags in order to separate things or do things like that. I also, I might use a pack liner, a lot of times to keep any of the things that I want to keep dry in my bag. But one of the things that I've never really gotten into in the ultralight world is getting into the high-end expensive bags until recently. And so I've been seeing a bunch of the creators that I like to follow as well talk a little bit about Hilltop Packs. And, they got all kinds of things. They've got backpacks and all kinds of stuff, which I'm really not much in a market for a backpack at the moment. And so, but I got to looking at some of their stuff, and I really just liked, their story. I liked the stuff, and so I really wanted to support it. And I kept seeing a couple channels where they had actually had some of their printed out stuff. And so then, now I've decided that makes it worth it to want to think about actually buying a little bit higher end bag. And so I bought a couple, actually, 4 of their bags on their site. So we'll start off with the small ones first. So I started off because I like to have just a little bitty ditty bag is what I call it. This is just something that can keep any of my small items so that they don't get lost in the bag, especially nowadays. If you guys saw my other video recently about the new backpack that I have now with Outdoor Vitals, there's just not a lot of pockets in it, which I like. But there's some really small things like my toothbrush or, my little pocket knife or, some of the things that, maybe my battery bank or other stuff that I want to be able to keep separate so it doesn't kind of get lost in the backpack. And so I ended up getting one of these, just a basic one, regular white, nothing fancy, so that I could have that to be able to keep some of those kind of things. You'll see here, I think, like I said, it's got my battery bank that I've got right now. It's got my coffee. It's got my toothbrush, my cords. What else? It's got another item that I'm going to talk to you about here that's on the ultralight list test for this trip, but we'll talk about that in a little bit. So then I also got, if you guys have watched a bunch of my channels, you've seen that I've just had that standard Ziploc bag with my toilet paper and my trowel and my hand sanitizer in it. And I've done that for decades. But you know what? I keep seeing these and I just really liked them. And so I just needed to have a poop bag. So I got one of those. So now this replaced my Ziploc bag for that. So it's got my toilet paper in it. It's got my trowel in it. And it's got my hand sanitizer in it. So this is now my new poop bag that is easily found by all and goes in the pocket there of my bag. So then I decided I wanted a couple of their really cool printed bags and stuff that they have too as well. So then I got 2 bags from there. I got this bag here, which I'm planning on using. It's more just kind of a storage bag. I plan on using this one kind of for just my clothes. If you guys have seen, if I'm just going out for a quick weekend trip, I really don't carry a lot of extra clothes. So you'll see here, because there's a good chance it might get a little chilly tonight. So I've got a little beanie here. I've got some gloves, got an extra pair of underwear, and an extra pair of socks. And so that's pretty much it for the main extra things there. I could stuff some other stuff in here too as well if I wanted to. I also have a couple other pair of clothing that are in the other bag that I could have at least gotten one of those in here too as well. So I didn't get a super big one of these because I don't really carry a lot of extra clothing. So, maybe down the road I will get something different to get something a little bit bigger, because if I'm doing a winter trip, then maybe I'll carry a little bit extra stuff. But most of the stuff coming up I've got are summer trips, so I'm not going to have a lot of stuff. Or even, for example, if I wanted to stuff this little alpha fleece in there, it's really easy to do. So if you carry more clothes than that, you might want something a little bit bigger. But look how cute Moose and I look. How awesome is this? I mean, this is just so cool that they can do this. And these are, good, high quality bags. So this one here's got a drawstring on it. So you can kind of drawstring, it up to make sure that it's, safe and, keeps it away from, water and other things like that. And then I got this. So this is one of their food bags that I got. And this is just so cool. So this one, because this is kind of a short trip, I didn't have a ton of food in it, but I got a bigger bag for the food bag because I do tend to take some, longer trips at times. And sometimes I might carry 4 or 5 days worth of food. And so I wanted to have a food bag that would be big enough for that. So if I going out and I know I'm going to be doing a bear hang, then I can use this bag. It's super, super ultralight. It's way lighter weight than my Ursack or some of those things, So of course, I mean, I will still carry my Ursack at times, because there's just times where I just don't care that thing weighs a ton. I just like to not have to toss up a bear bag. But if I'm in places like this, I don't mind having to, toss a bear line if I need to, or if I know I'm going to have enough time in camp to be able to have the daylight to do it, then I can carry a really lightweight bag like this. And then look, Moose is going to protect my food. So when it's hanging in the air there, not only does he protect me, now he's protecting our food bag because he can tell him no bear. Guys, I have a really weird sense of humor, so you just have to get with me. But that's what I decided to put on the food bag, was Moose telling the bear he can't have our food. But so in here, I've just got a little bit of our food, and then I actually threw two for tonight because it's going to get chillier. I actually threw my puffy, and I've got a long pair of leggings that I'm going to be able to put on here in a second. So these are the few items that I got from Hilltop Packs. These things were super reasonably priced considering you can custom make them to whatever you want. So whether or not, even if you're not somebody like me and you've got your own channel and you're wanting to put your channel stuff on it, maybe you just wanted to do like me and put your dog on it. But how cool is this? I just love these bags. So this is definitely something that will be continuing to go into my packs in the future. All right. With all that being said, the sun's starting to slowly go down. I need to get camp up, and I'm starting to get a little chilly. So it's time to layer up and get the tent set up. All right. So it started sprinkling a little bit as I was setting up camp. So I had to hurry and get everything up and then get on one of my layers. I think once I get out of the tent here in a minute, I'll put on my other layer. But I figured I would just tell you about the next couple items from here, because Moose doesn't appear to care that it's sprinkling, but I was already getting chilly. So the last thing I want to do is get wet. And so both of these items are in here anyway. And so might as well tell you in here. So the next two items that I'm putting out is, one is my Zenbivy sheet. Now, in all honesty, I've had this thing for a little while, but I haven't really talked a lot about it because when I first got it, I thought, because they just come out with those things, and I was like, this is the coolest thing in the world. I've always had those times where I get sweaty or something at night and I don't want to wear a whole lot of clothes maybe, in my sleep system. And then you kind of get sticky, or you just don't like laying directly on the air pad. And so when it first came out, I thought this was the coolest thing in the world. And so I had to have one. And so I bought their half sheet, and it's the ultralight version. And so they make some now that have down in the cover here and the top stuff too. And then they make full size ones too as well. But I just wanted to go with the lightest one that I could find. And so I would kind of go back and forth whenever I first bought it, because I liked it. But then whenever I would do my shakedowns, and I would always ask myself at the end of the trip, is that extra few ounces worth carrying whenever I'm, trying to do what I can to lighten my load? I would go back and forth. I wasn't sure. And so as much as I would like it, there were times where I didn't carry it for a while because I would just wear some clothing on my pad. And so then it didn't bother me about laying directly on the pad as much, because like for now, it's going to be cold tonight. I am probably going to sleep in these leggings. And if it's chilly enough, I might sleep in this alpha fleece. If it's not, I'll probably pull it off. And if I can get by, and I might just go with my synthetic t-shirt that I have on. But either way, I'm going to have some form of clothing on when I get in there. But what ended up making me bring this thing back out and start really using it again was that I started really paying more attention to it. So not only does it strap to your pad so that it holds in place so that it doesn't move when you move at night, but it's also got some little bitty hooks in here that I didn't notice at first. Maybe I should have done a little bit more research. But those little bitty hooks pair well with the next item that I'm going to tell you about. And that's this little guy. Because this is my pillow. So this is the lightest weight pillow that I've come across, at least. There might be some lighter ones out there. But this is the Big Sky International Air Pillow. And if any of you guys have seen any of my videos where I've talked about my sleep systems and stuff, you know that for the longest time, I hated air pillows. And so I was not a fan of anything. But then, and for a couple reasons, right? So I didn't like the air pillows because once you put air in them, they get cold at night. And so then laying on that would make me cold. I didn't like laying directly on the plastic. And then two, they're just not comfortable by themselves. And so then for a little while, when I was still trying to lighten things up, I would go with an air pillow. And then I would put on a second pillow to give me some comfort and an insulation layer on top of this. But then, you know, I was always carrying a little bit of weight with my pillows. And so then it was not too long ago where one of you guys, one of the folks in my audience, gave me the idea that I use now. Which I'm going to blow this up real quick, and then we'll show you. All right, so now let's talk just for a minute about the pillow before I go on to the next steps. So the things that I like about this pillow right offhand are that it's super lightweight. This thing barely weighs over an ounce, but it seems to still be somewhat sturdy. Like, I mean, I got this, if you guys saw, I got this for Christmas. This was one of my Christmas gifts from one of my boys. And so far I've used this thing quite a bit here lately. And I was really worried at first that something this light would potentially pop really quick like. But so far I've been careful with it, but it's also not popped. But another thing that I saw people talking about in their reviews all the time, because it comes with a cord that you can use to tie to your pad. Now it's a pretty long cord, so you could cut this off once you know exactly what size your pad is and how long you need it to be. But I use so many different size cords that I just kind of have left it on there for now until I decide later on down the road what I want to do with it. But the cord ties into this a little bitty loop right here. And one thing I was seeing a lot of people complain about was how fast those loops were tearing. And that it would just pull out because you tie a knot in here and then you get it on the other side and then you end up pulling on it tight to get it tight on your pad, and then it ends up pulling out. So one of the things I did that I'll share with you guys, is I just reinforced that area. So I took some of the tenacious tape that I have. I use that stuff for all kinds of stuff, right? I mean, I'm always using it to repair tents, repair air pads, maybe even repair my puffy if I get a tear or snag or something in it. And so I just took a little bit of tenacious tape and then I put one piece on one side and another piece on the other side, covering this whole section here, and then I recut a hole in the middle again. So all it does is just give it a little extra protection. Is it going to save it from getting broke in the future? I have no idea, but so far I've managed to not break the loopholes. But the other thing that I'm doing too with the pillow, and this is why it pairs really well with the Zenbivy, is, so as you guys have seen in some of my other pictures, I like to take now my buff and I take and I cover this pillow with my buff. And then most nights, if it's not too cold, I will take this like alpha fleece. Whenever I take it off to go to bed at night, I will then stuff it in to the pillow just to give me some cushion and a little bit of protection from the coldness of the air for that pillow. And so this makes this the lightest weight pillow that I've ever utilized. And it's just so comfortable for me. I'm a side sleeper, and so I toss and I turn a lot. But so I like a little bit bigger of a pillow. But the thing I think, that's saving these strap things that I was talking about is that instead of tying it around the air pad, And because so if I would tie, this to the air pad, and this is not the first air pillow I've had that had a strap on it that I could tie around the air pad. Because I toss and I turn around a lot at night, I would still find that I would eventually sometimes push that strap off of the air pad. Especially like right tonight, I brought out my mummy pad. So it's a little bit smaller and it doesn't have as much for it to hold on to as, say, my long and the wide pad that I like to use a lot of times too as well. And so what I love though is this little Zenbivy sheet here has these little bitty hooks on the inside. And so then now I can pair these two and I can take this string and I can put it through those little bitty hooks and be able to tie it to that. So then now I can pull that little bit of sheet over from the Zenbivy sheet thing to it. And now that pillow is not just is it secured to the pad, but now it's secured to the sheet that's secured to the pad in multiple locations. And so the sheet covers half of the pad and it's strapped on there in a couple different places. So the likelihood of this pillow now moving and me pushing it off, even with me tossing and turning, is so unlikely that it's just been amazing. And so for me, I would definitely say that both of these are definitely something that have earned their weight in my pack as I go along. Now, do I promise that I'll always carry the sheet? No, there's still some times where I just decide not to, but it's just so lightweight that I just don't see a reason why not to most times. All right, so I'm going to finish getting the inside of my tent set up here for a minute, get my other layer on, because as you can see, I keep pulling this thing up and I am definitely getting chilly. And then we'll show you a couple of our other items after that. All right, so it finally has stopped raining, sprinkling, whatever it was doing. The moisture is no longer in the air. So it's allowed me to come out of the tent, set my chair up, get a little bit more comfortable. But as you can see, I've layered up a little bit more because it's starting to get chilly. So speaking of getting chilly, I thought I would share another item with you that I've been using here lately, and that is something, so as a content creator, and I don't know if everybody would use this or not, but I like to share with you guys a lot of information. So when I'm testing out gear, I like to know what the temperature gets to and how cold it gets. But then you run into these issues with, in the past, I've either had to go very old school and just get one of the little bitty old school ones that just kind of gives you the temp on it. And that would be one way to kind of get lightweight. Or eventually, Garage Grown Gear did end up having one that was a digital one that was really lightweight that I could use that would give you the digital temperature. And it was super lightweight. And so I could at least then see what the current temperature at the moment was. And so for any of those that I've had like that, I've only ever been able to know what the exact temperature is at that moment. And so if I look at it now, I could tell what the temperature is now. But if I decided to go to sleep, and let's just say there's been nights where, I decide to sleep in a little bit. And so I don't want to get up at 5 a.m. and to figure out what the coldest temperature of the night was. And so there's some times where I just wouldn't really know what that was. Or if I wanted to have more of that information, and I've done some of it in the past, but I would carry out my larger Govee device that I had from home. And so this was something that I would use at home and use in my greenhouse or other things. But that thing it weighed a decent amount. It was a pretty big thing. And so it would give me the temperature, constantly. So I could go and pull the app up and I could look up and see, exactly what the temperature was at what time throughout the day. What was the coldest? When was it the coldest? Was the coldest temperature at 4 a.m.? Was it at 6 a.m.? And so you could really look at that and it would tell you all that data. Well, here recently, Govee made a new one, and it's this little guy right here. And so this became the perfect little thing for me to add to my kit so that I could be able to give you guys good information on what the temperatures have, been throughout the night, what I've been testing out some of the gear at, so I would have a better idea to know how things were going. And this thing only weighs like 25 grams. I'm not certain exactly what the bigger version weighed, but it was probably 4 or 5 times that, because it was quite a bit bigger, the one that I have. It's, it's like this big compared to this big. So this little guy, the little bitty digital thermometer that only tells you the current temperature, I think on Garage Grown Gear, weighs around 16 grams, I think it is. So it is a little bit heavier than that one. But because of all of the extra information that it gives me, it is so worth, me carrying out. So I don't know if you guys care about the temperature or not when you're out and knowing what that information is. But I just love how I can go out for 3 or 4 days, and then I don't even have to worry about it right there in the moment. I can wait till I get home. I can pull the app up, connect to the thing, and then I can look back over the last few days to see what the temperature's been, what the high was, what the low was, all that good stuff. So super love this little guy. And so that is something I carry now. And so now I'll share with you a couple other things that I've got here. And so one is, so I recently, I have a tendency to go on Garage Grown Gear, which this is a good point. Let me just talk about Garage Grown Gear here for a second. So let me start off by saying Garage Grown Gear has not sponsored this video. But I love them. They have all kinds of things. They are if you're in backpacking and you don't know about Garage Grown Gear, then stop right now, pause my video and go and put it into Google and look them up, because they are such an amazing company. They don't make a whole lot of things themselves that I know of. But what they do is they're like the warehouse, and the Amazon and the backpacking world of all the cottage industry people. And so, if there's somebody out there who decides they want to make something, let's make a knife that's super ultra light, and maybe, they're not able to, because they're not a big company. They don't have a big overhead. And so they don't have the ability to say, get this put into REI or into, Walmart or on Amazon or some of those type of things. And so Garage Grown Gear is just known for going out to all of these cottage companies who are just people who love backpacking and being out there. And so almost every single company that I come across on there are people that are actually out here doing it. And they saw a pain point that somebody was going through, maybe themselves were going through, and they decided to make something to fix that pain point. And so Garage Grown Gear has become a place to be able to carry all of that kind of stuff. And so a lot of the things that I got today, this water bottle, this knife, a lot of these other things. So a couple of the items that you're going to see tomorrow that I'll show you. A lot of this stuff I got off of Garage Grown Gear. Now, it just depends on the items, right? Some of it can be super cheap. Some of it can be super expensive. It depends on some of the cottage. Like you find a lot of these really cool ultralight tents sometimes on Garage Grown Gear, and they're really expensive. But it's just a really super cool place. So either way, that was my little quick plug for Garage Grown Gear. But now to talk about the knife. So while I was perusing Garage Grown Gear and looking at new stuff, which I have a tendency to do, no, I don't have a gear problem or any of those things. So please don't talk to my wife about any of these things. But I came across this little knife. And so I decided it wasn't that expensive. I decided to buy it. Those of you that have seen some of my loadouts in the past know that I've gone through many different things over the last 30 years of what I would carry. I would go from carrying big, huge sheath knives in the beginning and, just really wanting to have something crazy to then still having a big pocket knife. I have a lot of pocket knives when I'm at home. And it's not uncommon for me to forget to take it out of my pocket at times and go backpacking. But most of the times, if I'm coming out on a backpacking trip, most of the times I do not need a knife. And so I've learned a long time ago to try to leave one home. And so over the years, as I've tried to, figure out how to lighten my pack, the knife was one of the things that I kind of let off on. But then when I went for a while where I didn't have one at all, then I would run across the occasional time where I needed to be able to do something. And so I was just like, and then I was worried too, like especially with my first aid kit, if anything was to happen and I needed to be able to cut up gauze bandage or something like that, I would be able to do it. So then I did some real research, and then I started carrying. I found that really super small Swiss Army knife that you guys have seen me carry. And I've loved that thing for a long time. That thing only weighs like 21 grams, and it's still very Swiss Army. It's got all the different, tools and stuff in it. And so when I bought this, I really wasn't trying to, go lighter, because I feel like 21 grams is still pretty light for a knife to have, in case I ever needed it. It even has a toothpick in it and scissors in it. And so I bought this more for curiosity, because I was like, how can somebody make something that's that much lighter? And is it actually going to be functional? So I got this little guy right here weighs 7 grams, and it's basically just a plastic little covering for a razor blade knife. And so I think this thing is going to be pretty cool to be able to, like, I could see myself putting this in my first aid kit, because this is definitely something that I could use in there. And then if I ever did need a knife, I would be able to go to it, to be able to pull that out. And so even though you're not talking about saving a whole lot of weight, it does save some weight, and it seems to be pretty functional, like, so when it's out, I feel like I can cut things. Now, I'm not going to be sitting here with a razor blade, and you're not going to be carving a stick or doing those kind of things, because you'll mess that up real quick. But if I need to, cut a pouch open, or, cut a piece of rope, or, any of that thing like that, if I've got something, or I need to do a gauze, if I get into a situation where first aid's needed or something like that, then this absolutely can be utilized out here. And it's super lightweight. The only thing at first look that I don't really like about it is, my experience from using razor blade knives, like box cutters and some of those kind of things, is that they do dull up pretty fast. So the thing that I don't know about is if I end up having to use this on something of any kind of substantial, amount, then how fast is it going to dull? And this isn't, it's not like they made it to where you can just slip out, the razor blade and put another one in. So that, to me, would have been cool if they would have made it to where, you could, kind of like the box cutter blades, where you could maybe find a way to slip, pull something out of it and then slide it out and put another one in, so that you don't have to just buy another one when this one gets dull. So that's my only negative, I think, about this, is we'll see how long it lasts. So I would say, if you ask me, is this going to be something that will stay in my pack? The answer is going to be yes. I'll try it out for a while longer, and we'll see how long it lasts. If it only lasts a month or a week or whatever like that, and I feel like I have to buy it again, will I buy it again? Probably not. Because at least with my Swiss knife, I mean, now it might not be a fancy knife, but it's still got enough metal in it that I can sharpen and put an edge on that knife if it gets dull on that. Whereas, it's not so easy to do that with a razor blade for that. So we'll see whether or not this thing lasts, and we'll kind of keep you in the loop as we go down the road. But I super like it. It's super cool, and it's super light. And then that leads me to the last thing that I'm going to talk about right now. And that is this really cool thing right here. And so I don't know how many of you know exactly what this is. I don't know exactly how I came across this, but I think I was digging around on AliExpress or somewhere like that for cheap stuff to see what was out there. And I came across these little tablets that this is an actual washcloth. And so, I have had this huge love-hate relationship with, some form of, kind of washcloth. Like, I am not a fan of baby wipes. I just don't like that kind of alcohol-y feeling that they give you on some of those. I know that they have some that are made a little bit better than that. I think what was the ones that I tried one time called Dude Wipes or something like that. And then too, you guys saw I did a video on the medical pads that, I found those. Those things are super cool. I really like those because they're dry. They're not wet. You don't have to worry about them drying out. But those are, and even those, like, they come in a pretty decent size, but you can cut them if you wanted to. I've had some of you guys mention about that, cutting them down into smaller sizes and some of those kind of things too as well. But Two, the challenge you get into some of those is, as a few of you guys have mentioned on some of the comments too, is that you get into some of those where they may not have the most biodegradable soaps in it, and you have to be careful with some of those about, what you're doing to the environment with some of those kind of soaps. So then I came across this and I was like, you know what? They were super cheap. I got like a package of like 50 of them. And so I decided that I was going to give them a try. And so I'm going to show you here real quick what this thing turns into. It reminds me a lot as a kid. Did you guys ever have those little bitty things that would, you light it and it turned, just became a snake? That's what I think when I start getting ready to put water on this thing. So just a little bit of water there. Let's put a little bit more. I thought about trying to remember to bring an eyedropper out here and seeing just how many drops of water it would take to get it to kind of come to life here, but I didn't. So, that wasn't a whole lot of water that I poured on it. I probably wasted a little bit of that, but it was enough to now make this thing start unfolding out. And let's see here. I think, oh yeah, there we go. It comes out one more time. And so then it turns into this little bitty wash rag kind of thing. This thing's pretty cool. I haven't used these things a whole lot. I took a couple of them at home and put some water on them just to see what they were before I came out here, so I knew what I was dealing with. But like even right now, that little bit of water, I can feel the moisture in this thing, and it makes for a great way to kind of help with your hygiene out here. Now, these things are super thin. And I don't know if you can see that, but just in wiping my face from the hike in today, it's already getting dirty. So you definitely want to be smart about how you're using it. So for me, I might wipe my face, then, wipe my pits, and then maybe at the end, wipe the nether areas. But I have a feeling that after you've done some of that, I don't know how well this is, even if I had a bucket of water, or if I, had a little bowl of water here, how well this is going to wring out and clean out. I'll try them over the time to see, how long they last. Like just in now here, I'll take this one to see, like I pull on it just a little bit. You see they tear pretty easily. And so in my mind, this is going to be similar to what I would think of kind of like the wet wipes would be. You might have one of these could be functional enough to clean you at the end of the day. Wash your hands, wash your face, wash some of the important areas. But I don't expect this thing to last more than a day for that. So whether or not, the question is will this continue to stay in my pack? I'm going to play with them for a little while. But I have a feeling they're probably not going to be strong enough to actually last for a long duration. And so, I don't know. I don't know if it'll be something that I do long time or not, but it was definitely something fun to have that's super lightweight. I don't even remember now what they weigh. I put them on the scale at the house and they barely even register. They're so lightweight. So, if nothing else too, it could be a really cool thing to maybe put one or two of those maybe in my first aid kit, where it just becomes an emergency item. Or if all of a sudden I forgot to bring a quality rag or towel or whatever it is, like when I was on the Colorado Trail and through hike, I would actually bring an actual quality lightweight towel, because then I could wring it out, wash it on a regular basis, and then hang it out on my pack to dry out the next day if I needed to. So I don't know that, something like this would ever be anything for that, but it was fun to play with. All right, so now that we're comfy here at camp a little bit, hopefully the clouds look like it could still potentially have some more moisture coming our way here at some point. So who knows, but I am going to work on getting some dinner for myself and Moose. And then maybe after dinner, we'll show you a couple more items that I had. You guys are getting a lot this trip. I just ended up bringing all kinds of little goodies that I bought here recently out here. And so we've got a couple more items that I'll show you after we finish eating. And then I've got an item to show you after it gets dark as well. And I think we'll see if there's anything else to show you first thing in the morning. And maybe if nothing else, we'll tell you how some of these things, have gone that I'm testing out for the night to see how they do for the morning. All right. So now that we've finished eating, typically what I like to do is brush my teeth before I go to bed. And so I'm going to show you 2 more items that I've recently purchased that I'm trying out on this trip. And so I finally broke down and I finally bought some toothpaste tablets. I've been seeing these, and these things have been around for a long time. So they're nothing new by any means. But I've just been, for the longest time, you guys have seen me, I had this little bead tube. It was a travel tube that I'd carry, and I only ever kept it probably half full at any given time, because I would just, if it ever got to the point where it was empty, I would just take another big tube and put more in it. And that's what I always carry. And I just refused to be that guy that was chasing the grams so much to really spend any major money. But finally, you know what? Curiosity got the better of me, and I decided to try the tablets. And so the cool things about these, now that I've gotten them, is these things are super lightweight. I mean, I can bring out 3 tablets, 4 tablets, whatever it may be, for the weekend trip, and they are way lighter weight than my tube was. And so the nice thing I think about these is that you can plan ahead for what you're doing. So if you're doing a one-nighter, you can just take 1 or 2. If you're doing 5 nights, you can take, 5 or 10, however many times you're going to decide to brush your teeth. I won't tell you how many times I brush mine, because sometimes it may not be as often as I need to when I'm out here. But the other thing that I bought, so I got the tablets finally. But while I was perusing garage grown gear the other day, I've been seeing a couple of other content creators with these toothbrush on their spoons. And I was just like, what in the world is this thing? And so I finally came across it on garage grown gear, and I decided, you know what? I got to have one of those. And the reason why, it wasn't as much that because I was chasing grams, because to be honest, I mean, and in all honesty though too, I mean, you guys have seen, I've been using this little bitty one that, was a good like thumb size one, that Garage Grown Gear gave me for free one time with one of my orders. And that thing doesn't weigh much at all. And so I've used that with that little tube of toothpaste for the last couple years probably, and have been super happy with it. But this thing I bought, this thing is like half the weight, if not more, than that little guy. But what I really liked the most about this, and this is why I decided to go ahead and buy it and try it out, is that for me, when I talk about ultralight, one of the things that I like to tell people about in ultralight is multi-use items. So the more you can get multi-use items, the better. And so if you can save a little bit of weight and one thing can do the job of 3 things or 2 things or something like that, then that's how you eventually start dialing in your systems to where you eventually just, before you know it, you just start shaving off pounds because you're eliminating a whole lot of things that you have to carry. And so the thing that I thought was really cool about this is that it now takes my titanium spoon and it turns it now into a multi-use item. And so now not only is this my eating utensil, but it's now my brushing utensil, because they make it to where these things just go in the little holes there on the spoons. And I was even worried because I have like 2 or 3 different titanium spoons. I was like, is it going to fit all of my spoons, or do I have to have a special spoon to fit it on? But I tell you, the 2 that I managed to find before this trip, because I wanted to check to see how many of them it would fit, both of them have the holes on the end, and it fits both of them. So I didn't have to buy a special spoon for this. And now I actually get to go back to having a long-handled toothbrush again, versus where for the longest time that little bitty one that I carried was a short-handled one. So I was always kind of just doing that, which it didn't really bother me. But so now you're going to see me try out my toothpaste tabs and my new toothbrush, because this is the first time I've used this one. Okay, so first usage, I probably need to figure some more things out. because that thing has come off of the spoon a couple times. Now, if you can see here, so there's two things on this thing. There's a little bitty hole here and the other thing. So I probably should do a little bit more research to figure out exactly how it's supposed to be used. And maybe I am supposed to have a special spoon, because maybe I'm supposed to have a spoon where it can push in. But I tried this thing to push it in a couple different ways. Push it in from that way, push it in from this way, turn it, push it in that way. But it doesn't seem to want to stay, at least in this spoon. This is a titanium spoon I got from Outdoor Vitals. So I don't know. But so far, it did not do as good of a job as my little bitty spoon, or my little bitty toothbrush that I've had in the past. Now, the tablets, did I like those? Yeah, I really did like. They definitely had a good minty flavor to them. It did seem to sud up some, as I was brushing, and I do feel like my mouth is clean a little bit now, even though the brush did a little bit of a subpar job. So I'm going to do a little bit more research to figure out how I'm supposed to use this little guy the right way. And maybe we'll try to get out again on another trip. All right. And don't leave me just yet, because I still have another item to show you after it gets dark. All right. Hey guys, Future Ricky here. So I was editing my video and I took like 5 seconds to look up the toothbrush in order to see how I was supposed to actually use this thing. And it just shows that, if you actually read the instructions, it's not that difficult. So literally all I had to do was take this little bitty washer thingy off of it, push the thing back in, and then put the washer on the other side. And it stays on with no problem whatsoever. So maybe my first time out, I was a little harsh on the poor toothbrush. Hey guys. All right. So the last item that I wanted to show you guys tonight that I brought out here was this cool new flashlight that I've got. I love this little thing. I found it on Amazon. This thing weighs hardly anything and is super amazing. And so I found myself a lot of times when I was going out, if I was going out for a short trip, just say one night or maybe a weekend, that I didn't really need a headlamp for most of the time. Because if I'm going out during the summer, especially in Colorado, the days are so long. And so a lot of times I was going to bed before it was even fully dark. And so I really didn't even need one a whole lot. And so I found myself in my after actions, going through, and more times I would get there and be like, well, I never use my flashlight. I never use my flashlight. I never use my flashlight. But I would never want to go out without one. And as many of you guys know, if you know from some of my videos, that my watch has a flashlight on it. And so for a while, I thought about just having that as that just in case emergency flashlight as I would have. But then I came across this little guy, and I love this thing. So I'm going to tell you just a little bit about this for a second. So this thing has so many different modes on it. So if you take it, it's got one button. And so you don't have to worry about having multiple buttons. It's rechargeable. You can see right now it's glowing a little bit, but that's because once you use it a little bit, it kind of glows, and it has a good little bit glow to it so that you can find it wherever it's at. So with the button, if you hold the button without doing anything else, it'll turn it on. But then when you let go of the button, it turns it off. Now, if you want to actually turn it on, if you hit the button twice, then it turns it on. And now there's 3 modes when you come to this regular light. So there's low, medium, and high. And so this thing can get super bright, and you can see really far at night with it on high. So that makes it like a standard flashlight. And so a lot of times you'll see me, I'm wearing my hat, because a lot of times what I'll do is I'll just clip it on my hat like this. And then I've got a light that I can have out that's just like a headlamp. But you can also, if I had in this next mode that it has, even if I had my little beanie on in the next mode, so now if I hit it 3 times,
it turns on a side light that's on it. And so now this little thing works really well for clipping it up in your tent and being able to give light in your tent. So if you want to put it up high up in the tent, you can do it that way. Clip it on the side. If I wanted to if I was trying to do something and I didn't want a headlamp per se, but I wanted to be able to see a little bit, I could clip it on to my beanie, and now I've got some light, that shines out from the side of it. So I could easily see, I could be sitting here reading a book, doing whatever I wanted to with that. And the same way with the other one, if you click the button, it will make it even brighter. And then it's also got a flashing mode for emergencies on that one. And so then if you hold the button, you can turn it off. And then there's one more mode that makes this thing my absolute favorite light of all time. So now if you really quick hit it 4 times, it turns on moonlight mode. This thing is so cool. So yeah, you don't have a red light like a lot of your headlamps do, but you have a blue light. That is so cool. I love having this blue light when I'm in my tent, because it just gives you enough light similar to the red light, where you can see, but it's not so overwhelming as whenever you have the red light on. And so for me, I love this little blue light. And so it gets up and it'll do that for it. Now, so some of the cons about this light. So if you're hiking in an environment where you are going to be doing some night hiking, and you say early in the mornings or at night, and you need a headlamp or something to be able to see on the trail, or you're in an environment where you have really short days and a lot of darkness, and so maybe you're going to have a lot of time in the tent in the dark, then you are probably not going to want this, because the one downfall about this compared to, say, one of the Nicors, one of the ones that everybody gets that are really lightweight headlamps, is that the battery life is nowhere near as big as those. So this one, if you have it on blue light, it'll last for a pretty long time. But if I was to turn it back on bright again as a flashlight, and I went all the way to bright, which, you can see really, really far with that, this light is probably only going to last for about an hour to an hour and a half on the battery. Now, if you're in a scenario where, like me, and you are only turning this on for very short periods of time, and so you're not really using it for an hour long straight, so you're not hiking with it or any of those things, then it can last a whole weekend. If I only need to turn it on to search for something for 5 minutes before I go to bed, or I just put it on low, like I can put it on low, and I think if I remember right, on low light, the battery will last for like 8 hours. So it'll last a little bit longer that way. And then on blue light, I think it'll last even longer. I don't remember how long it will last for the blue light, but that's the longest that it can last with that light. But that's the only downfall for this one. So if I'm winter hiking or camping when I know I'm going to have a lot longer or a lot shorter days of daylight, and I'm going to need a flashlight more frequently, then I'm carrying a headlamp for certain. But this thing I love, and it will constantly now be, for my summer backpacking trips, it's going to be my flashlight that I carry out, because I just love how this thing does. I mean, it functions just as well as any kind of headlamp does. It's as bright as any headlamp is. You just want to make sure that you're not using it a ton. And so if you know that you're going to have that and have that flexibility, then it makes for an amazing light. So that's pretty much all the things for today. You guys have got to see all kinds of cool stuff. I had tons of different gear for today. Tomorrow, we're gonna settle in here. Moose and I are getting ready for bed, and gonna settle in. And then in the morning, I'll let you know how the pillows did. How I'm liking the sheet for the night, and just how kind of the night went in general. And then we'll go over and summarize all of the different items, and I'll let you know like which one of these things will actually end up staying in my backpack for future trips. All right.
Good morning, guys. We made it through the night. So it definitely got a bit chillier than I was expecting it to get. Some of that's probably because we stayed not too far from a water source last night. So that added a lot of extra humidity into the air. And then it ended up raining again some last night. Woke me up in the tent. And so this morning we've got some good freezing rain, some ice on the tent. Because it definitely got below freezing last night. But we slept well. We stayed warm. We stayed comfy. So that was good. So let me tell you a little bit about how the pillow and the sheet did. And then we'll go over everything. And I'll tell you what of the items that we brought today do I think will end up staying in my pack in future trips. So the pillow did really well. You know, as I mentioned, with the sheet on, it stayed in place. It stayed right there. I did end up taking off my alpha fleece and I put it in the pillow, which gave me a good added comfort to be able to do that. And then it also gave a warmth layer to the pillow, which really helped throughout the night. So definitely slept really good on it and definitely love that pillow. So I'm going to make sure to take care of it well and hopefully it lasts for a while. Now to kind of just summarize everything that we brought out on this trip and tell you kind of what I think is going to stay in the pack and what might not. So let's start with the water bottle, the MGO water bottle. I really do love this water bottle. I think it's really nice. I like how sturdy it is. I really like the lid configurations and being able to open up to a wide mouth and everything on that. But it just kind of bothers me a little bit about the weight. So I know that I'll continue to use that water bottle. Maybe not necessarily backpacking. We'll see. I might use it some of my winter trips, as I talked before, because it is lighter than an Nalgene. But I'm not certain I'll use it on some of my summer trips coming up. I do like it better than the collapsible bottle that I got that is really light. But there is another bottle out there that I want to try that looks to be decent in weight, but also hard-sided. So we'll see. Once I get that one, we'll compare it against this one, and so we'll see what we think on that one. But we'll keep giving it some options as we go along. And so it's not completely a waste, but not certain that it's going to go immediately in the next packs. Then that leads me to the CNOC 2-liter bag. Really did like that. I like how easy it was to fill up at the creek there. Even if you're not in, say, a perfect little spot where the water's coming off the stream there and going right into whatever your bag or whatever. So I was able to just scoop up water, and it was really easy to do with that big side on it. I like the fact that it replaces 2 bags from my previous setup. So that will definitely be something that stays in my future setup. So then there's the pillow that we talked about a few minutes ago. That's definitely going to stay. It's just going to become my normal pillow that I'll use. So let's just hope that it lasts a long time and then that it stays durable as we keep going. The sheet, the Zenbivy sheet, I really do like that. It is a really nice add-on. It's only a few ounces. And so I think just having that a little bit of extra on the pad and then also being able to really secure the pillow even better than I've ever had it secured before, I think does kind of make it worth it. It's still an extra few ounces. So will it always make my pack every single trip? I don't know. But it's definitely something I'm going to have to keep thinking about. I think I'm going to keep carrying it a little bit and just, every time I do my after action at the end, and then I'll rethink whether or not I think it was worth the wait. Then there was the Hilltop Packs. I had 4 of those. I love those things. Those are totally worth it. I love being able to separate some of my stuff. I like, I need to have a food bag to be able to separate my food, a clothing bag. I really like the little poop bag.
So that's definitely going to be something that'll be in my pack going forward as I go out. And I really liked being able to customize them. I hope you guys like those. Let me know in the comments if you like the pictures that I chose and the designs that I chose for the bags, because I really liked being able to put moose on the bags for that. Then there's the thermometer that I had. I really like that thing. I really enjoyed this morning. I got up, I pulled it up even before I got out of the sleeping bag just to see what the temperature was out here. And then I laid in the sleeping bag for another 30 minutes because of what I saw the temperature was out here. And then I was able to kind of scan through throughout the night. And weirdly enough, like it's colder now than it was in the middle of the night. So the temp's really dropping here. And we're probably going to have a cold day today, I think, is kind of what we've got going for us here for that. But no, I really liked having that. I think when I get out on some multi-day trips, I'm going to like being able to see the waveform of, high, lows, and everything throughout the trip for that. So it'll definitely be something that I carry going forward. Let's see, what else did that? Then there was the compressible towel. I mean, for me, that gave me entertainment, if nothing else. As I said, it reminded me a little bit of my childhood when I added the water to it. It functioned really well at being able to, wipe my face and use as a one-time kind of clean. After that, I finished using it a little bit more and wiped my pits and other things and kind of got to where I felt a little clean, wiped my arms down. And so I think it was a good one-time use. Now, if I was going out on a longer trip, would I want to have to carry 4 or 5 of those? Because the thing about that is you got to hike it out, right? I mean, it's trash. So if I'm on a 4 or 5 day trip and I got to carry 4 or 5 of those tabs, then that's 4 or 5 of those rags that I got to carry out with me. So I'm not certain whether or not that'll be something that I make a permanent add to my pack, but it was fun to play with some, and they're really lightweight. See, that leads me to the blade, to the knife. That thing, I was just blown away at how lightweight that thing is. So that thing, I think just for the fact that it's super light like that, it'll definitely be something that gets added to the pack. We'll try it for a little while and let it replace my little Swiss knife. But eventually, I just have a feeling it's not going to last very long. And I don't know that I'm going to want to spend the money to have to replace that thing every single time that it gets dull or stops, breaks, or whatever it might do. So we'll see. We'll test it out for a little bit longer and see how it does, and then we'll decide later on. So then that leads us to the flashlight. I just love that flashlight. I really love the moonlight setting on it. That blue is just so cool. I like it so much better than red light. And I just like it on how small it is. I like how easy it is to carry. It is very versatile to be such a small light. Like I said, I can easily plug it up to my battery bank and recharge it if I needed to. I can, it's got multiple settings. I liked the fact that, I could use it as a regular flashlight. It had 3 different settings of how bright it would be. And, and the bright was really bright. And then I like that side setting, where that works really well, I think, in the tent. I could even clip it on something to be able to read or do other things like that if I wanted to. And then just like I said, that moonlight mode is just so cool. So that is definitely going to continue to be in my pack going forward. Like I said, the only time I think I might not use it would be whenever if I know I'm going to be doing some night hiking or really need to have the flashlight on the trail or something like that. So then I would probably make sure to keep an actual headlamp or something that's going to last for multiple days, being able to have it on. So, and then that leads me to the last 2 items, which was the toothpaste tabs and the toothbrush, the new little toothbrush there that I got that goes on the spoon. The tabs, I think those are definitely a keeper. To me, I liked how they worked. I felt like they did a good job of replacing toothpaste. And so I think that'll definitely be something that I continue to use in my pack going forward. I like how I can easily plan out exactly how many of those I need to bring. It really allows you to kind of think through the function on that. The toothbrush, like I mentioned yesterday, I'm probably going to have to try to look up and figure out what I was doing wrong with that one. Maybe I was using the wrong spoon or whatever it was, but I'm just going to have to do some more research on that one because that one was an epic fail yesterday. Just in trying to brush my teeth, it kept coming off, which was just kind of a pain. And then I'd had to grab it and it'd be all, fall in my mouth and get toothpaste stuff all over it. So that one definitely, even though it is quite a bit lighter than my other little toothpaste or my other little toothbrush, I do not believe that one is going to make the cut as of right now. So until I figure out what I did wrong, and maybe I can figure out a better way to make it functional. I did like the fact that it made my spoon a multifunctional spoon. So I like that aspect of it. I think that's, it falls in along the lines of the way I think of ultralight. But for now, it was a pain. I didn't like it. So I don't know if we'll keep using it. But that was everything, guys. That was everything that we had. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this. It was a lot of cool things. I think we've got some cool stuff that we're going to be able to add to our pack and we get out. Let me know in the comments, have you tried any of the things that I mentioned? Do you like them? Do you not like them? What are the things that you might try that this was the first time maybe you saw something, but I'd be interested to see what are the little things like that maybe you carry out when you go. But other than that, we're going to get moving around a little bit and try to get warmed up because it's pretty chilly this morning. And we might even just go find us a hike to do or something to hopefully wait for the sun to come out. So hopefully my tent will dry out before I have to pack it up wet. But before any of that, we're going to stop for a minute and we're going to get some coffee going so that I can definitely get warmed up. But appreciate you guys coming out with us. As always, guys, I hope this was useful and hopefully one day we see you guys out on the trail. I know. I know they like you better than me. I know. But you won't talk to the camera. So I have to tell them about the gear. Can you sit?